Aloha. I have had so much fun reading your guys' comments, reading your questions, sifting through all your questions. I've had a blast reading them. Thank you guys so much for engaging and for shooting me the questions, and especially during this time of unease all around the world, as we are all trying to manage this thing day by day, hour by hour, it seems. So I'm glad you got a little bit of entertainment out of my answers, and a little bit of philosophy and a little bit of life lessons. And I'm glad you were able to laugh and smile a little bit again during these very trying times, which inevitably I am fully confident that we will get through this thing. But it's going to require us obviously to band together because this is a global issue. It's not a foreign virus. We have to take accountability for it because it's all of our issues. So we're going to get through it. Two questions that I came across while I was training. The first question is, how excited am I to play Black Adam? I am so excited to play Black Adam. So excited, so pumped up, so ready, so focused. So I don't have the vocabulary at times to tell you how excited I am about Black Adam. As many of you know, Black Adam is a supervillain from the world of the DC universe. And this project, again, as many of you know, because I know you've been intensely following it along through the years, Black Adam has been with me for over 10 years now. And that gives you an idea of how passionate I am about this project, how passionate our $7 is about this project. Warner Brothers, New Line Cinemas, DC, they have been so incredibly supportive over the years. I mean, this is over 10 years. In 2008 is when we first started talking about this. So it has required a patience by all of us as partners. And, you know, I'm a much different man and an actor than I was 10 years ago. And I felt 10 years ago that even then, 10 years ago, I just wanted to wait for the timing to feel right. And it feels like now, the man that I've become, you know, I'm able to bring a little bit of my own life lessons and philosophies and ingrain them in the DNA of this character. And as those of you who follow the mythology of Black Adam and in the comics, which is millions of you, and for those of you who don't know, Black Adam, there's a lot of deep layers to Black Adam. He is a man who is his constitution and his wiring and his makeup is one of resolve, and it is one of a boundless anchor, if you will. And he started off as a slave. There's some dark elements to Black Adam. And, you know, one of the things that I really loved about the character of Black Adam is that he was blessed by the wizards, by the gods for powers, and his powers equal that of Superman, which automatically, you know, makes him intriguing to me. But he was also bestowed a equalizing power, and that equalizing power is magic, which is certainly Superman's weakness. And I'm not setting up a showdown between Black Adam and Superman, maybe down the road. But right now, I'm just giving you guys context for those of you who don't know on how powerful Black Adam is. And one of the most interesting things about Black Adam to me is the fact that when you compare him to Superman, Superman believes in truth and justice, and everyone gets their due process, even the bad guys who've done a lot of damage and harm to the world. And Superman believes in bringing them to justice, and then if justice is served properly, the bad guys go to jail. In the case of Black Adam, who is a supervillain, who then became a anti-hero. By the way, our first version of Black Adam is going to be his origin stories. So we're going to understand where he came from as he made his way to becoming Black Adam. But the difference is, you know, with Black Adam, if you wrong Black Adam and if you wrong his family, if you harm his family, or if you harm his people, then he's not going to send you to jail. He's going to rip you in half. Literally. Bang! He's gonna rip you in half. It's kind of dark, but again, that's the core of who Black Adam is. So I'm very excited about Black Adam. Our director is going to be Jama Colette Serra, who has been working intensely over the past year He has a great vision, a tremendous vision for Black Adam. John Sarah just directed myself and Emily Blunt in Jungle Cruise, which will be out this summer in July. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see if we're going to come out this summer. It all depends. We will continue to gauge our global situation, and we'll see. But John Sarah comes from a really extremely talented cadre of Spanish filmmakers, and he started off in the world of horror. And he has a great take on it. Lawrence Shear, who is our director of photography. As a few of you may know, Lawrence was just nominated for an Academy Award for his brilliant photography in The Joker. So we are assembling our Black Adam team, and we're bringing it all together, and I'm very, very excited about it. Other question, last question, before I get back to my workout is, and it's a question I'm actually asked a lot, which is how I find balance. How do I find balance in this crazy thing, this unpredictable thing that we call life? That is a really it's a great question, but it's also a really comprehensive answer that has many, many layers. I'll simplify the answer for you guys, and then down the road I'll break it off, and we will work in increments, and I will answer incrementally. But until then, how I find my balance, the simplest way to put it is I need things around me that help me anchor my life and help me anchor my mind and my constitution and my soul. Starting with my family, I need my family around me. I need my wife, Lauren. I need my babies, my baby girls. I'm surrounded by women, all estrogen in my house except me and the dog. So I always need my family around because they keep me balanced, as all of us do, by the way. I mean, it's the never-ending, constant evolution that we all look for, as we all look for balance in our lives between relationships, school, marriage, babies, work, whatever it is, self-fulfillment. I mean, we're just constantly looking for that balance. So I need my family. I also need my gym. As many of you guys know, I travel with this circus. Because the gym time is my time to focus, and it allows me to get in here, challenge myself physically and mentally, but it also allows me to escape and not be influenced by any outside distractions. For this hour and a half that I'm able to get up here, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, or sometimes late at night, around midnight, it just really allows me to anchor my day and allows me to focus. And I have to travel with this gym all around the world. And because at public gyms, I try to train, but everybody wants to take pictures. They want to say hello. They're trying to take videos of me. It turns into a zoo. And while I'm so grateful for everybody wanting to come up and say hello, and always try and be gracious, I figured I can eliminate that and just bring my gym with me, just so it again allows me to focus, because the focus then allows me to balance my life. Another thing that I need, and I know this sounds wildly extreme, but I need my pickup truck with me. I need my pickup truck. The people who work for me internally right now, they're laughing at this because I know it sounds wildly extreme, but I do need my pickup truck because I don't. And across the country, I have 4 or 5 pickup trucks that are scattered across the country, one over in the island of Hawaii. I don't like being driven around. I don't like being chauffeured around. I like to handle business myself, and I like to jump in my truck, and I just like to drive to work, to and from work, or wherever I gotta go. And again, that time in my truck, it just allows me to focus. And it allows me to focus on the things that, I wanna think about, and without any distractions. And also too, in this wild world of Hollywood and fame, it could get a little out of hand, and people get used to that, where you just get used to being driven around everywhere, being chauffeured around everywhere. And look, I tried it, for the first, 5 years of my career in Hollywood, and even in wrestling and WWE, and then I finally thought, nah, I gotta drive myself. So I have my pickup trucks waiting for me. Got a brand new pickup truck right now. I'm getting worked on, a little custom action. Got a dually 350 Super Duty, Ford, 5-inch lift kit, dual exhaust, 35-inch grapplers on there. It's a little truck porn for you guys, for you country boys out there like us. And I also need, for balance, I need people around me who are going to tell me the truth. I need people around me who aren't going to sugarcoat things. They're not going to bullshit me. I don't have yes people around me, despite what a lot of people may think. I don't roll that way. From certainly my family, because my wife, Lauren, is always a great barometer, because she's the one to say, no, that sucks. But also, so from our executives who I keep very close at $7, agents, attorneys, managers, business partners. Again, these are people who I keep very close to me, and I really value their opinion, and they have an opinion. And now, by the way, 90% of the time, my ideas are brilliant. But it's that 10% that I need, about 91%, I mean, who's counting, whatever. But it's that 10% that I need them to come in and be like, no, that's not gonna work, or, what the fuck are you thinking? And that's it. So those are the things that I need for my balance. And all right, this is almost 11 minutes, I think, of your life you're never gonna get back. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for sending me all your questions. We'll keep this thing going. And in the meantime, in between time, stay healthy and take care of one another. And I firmly believe that we, as not only a U.S. nation, but as a global entity, as a human race, we are going to get through this thing. It's going to require some vigilance. It's going to require a high level of accountability. And it's going to require some heartache as we are dealing with it now, but we're going to get through this thing. So, all right. Thank you guys so much. And stay healthy and chat soon. And they're pretty good ones. So yesterday was the 18th anniversary of the Icon versus Icon match, the match that will go down in that has gone down in WrestleMania history. The match between myself and the immortal Hulk Hogan. It was WrestleMania 18. Your question was how I felt about that match, and was there any backstory to it? There is some backstory to it, and I'll tell you, first of all, I love the match. And, the backstory is I think it was about 6 months before that match happened. Vince McMahon came to me, of course, the chairman of WWE. He came to me and he said, how do you feel about bringing Hulk Hogan back? And at that time, Hulk Hogan, for years, was in the WCW, and we participated in the Monday Night Wars between WCW Nitro and Monday Night Raw. And Hogan, I think at that time, had left on not so great terms, left the WWE on not so great terms. So Vince McMahon had come to me and said, how do you feel about bringing Hulk Hogan back? And I said, well, how does the locker room feel? And he goes, well, I've talked to a few of the locker room leaders, and it's mixed. And I said, well, I love it. I love the idea. I think having him back is intriguing, and very selfishly, I'd like to wrestle him. And Vince said, well, it's funny you say that, because I have a match in mind, you versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania. And I loved it. Immediately, I saw the marquee, I saw the build-up, I saw the promotion, and I just saw the intrigue from the fans, because this is a match that you never thought you would see. It's like, Tyson versus Ali. You never thought you would see that. And I said, I love it. And I said, what about the rest of the NWO? Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. He said, I'm going to bring those guys back too. And I said, great. I'd love to. I was such a big fan of certainly Scott Hall and his work style. And I had never worked with Kevin Nash before, so I was excited about that. So anyway, brought those guys back, and we start building this WrestleMania match, and the build was incredible. And it was so incredible. I remember going to Vince, and I said, what we should do here is we should build this as Icon versus Icon, and whoever wins will go down as the greatest wrestler in the history of professional wrestling. And he said, I love it. Of course, from a promotional standpoint, he loved that idea. So we build it as the Icon versus Icon, who will go down as the greatest of all time, the GOAT. And we get to the Sky Dome. It is sold out. We have a record-breaking crowd of 68,000 plus fans. The Sky Dome in Toronto, Canada, and you know, it's that old Phil Collins song. You know, I could feel it in the air tonight. You could just feel it in the air that it was going to be something special. We had went into that match both baby faces, good guys, and even though he was acting as the heel, you could start to feel the crowd wanting to cheer him as we went into WrestleMania. And I remember speaking to Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson, Michael Hayes about our match, and as we were putting the match together, and we were all collectively, including Hogan, just felt like, well, let's just feel it out there and see where the crowd goes, and then we'll adjust. And I was like, great. And I was so excited to get into the ring with Hogan, of course, because he was one of my heroes growing up. And, you know, I was there when he beat Iron Sheik in Madison Square Garden in 1984, I think. So, you know, Hogan was a hero of mine. So what an honor it was to share the ring with him, WrestleMania, and this match that will decide who is going to go down as the greatest of all time. Now, we had agreed that I was going to win the match, but much like WrestleManias before, WrestleMania 3 with Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, it was assumed that Hogan was going to win, but with Andre, Hogan talks about it still to this day, you never know until match time what Andre is going to decide because he's the OG. Well, the exact same thing I felt with Hogan, even though we had agreed that I was going to win the match and he was going to pass the torch to me. And the wrestling world is funny, and I've learned, because I grew up in the wrestling business, that you don't count your chickens until they hatch, they come out of the egg, and it's happening. So I wasn't assuming that I was going to win. I was just waiting for Hogan to give me the green light. And again, you know, working with a ring general like Hulk Hogan, he could call different things in the match, and out of respect, I would feel it and I would go for it. So from the very first moment, we locked up in that match. We locked up, we were jockeying for position, posturing, and he whispered, "Take a bump." And what that means in wrestling terms, certainly much different than in party terms. He said, "Take a bump," and I said, "You got it." And he threw me. And when he throws me, now in this moment, keep in mind, I am the company's biggest babyface, and arguably, and so you have the two biggest baby faces of all time who are in the ring together. So the crowd was cheering us both. And the moment he threw me, in that moment, I decided I could have taken the bump, landed on my back, and sold it like a baby face, which means I would have gotten up, you know, determined, and like, damn it, all right, you got the best of me on that one, but here we go. Let's lock up again. Of course, 9 times out of 10, I would have sold it like that because I was a baby face, but in that moment, something told me, my gut spoke to me and said, I'm gonna sell this thing like a heel. I'm gonna go back to my old heel days, which made The Rock famous. So he gives me a bump, boom, I land on my back, I do this back flip over, and I got up and I had this look on my face like, you just embarrassed the shit out of me in front of the world, in front of 68,000 people. And I had this look, my eyes got all big and wide, and I was like, oh, you son of a bitch, you're gonna pay now. And I sold it like a heel. Looked at the crowd like, he embarrassed me, don't you cheer that shit. Now, in that moment, I got goosebumps now thinking about it. Because what that decision did, it gave 68,000 people the runway and the platform to not be conflicted in that moment. They went, oh, and you could hear 68,000 people go, ah. Because what it did, it immediately identified, great, Rock is the bad guy, Hulk Hogan is the good guy. It's okay that I cheer for Hulk Hogan because of how Rock just reacted. Now, even if they couldn't articulate that, it's a feel thing. It's a mana thing in here. And the rest of the match, I worked as a heel, and I got heat on Hulk Hogan, and he worked as a baby face. And by the time the match ended, when I gave him that rock bottom, and I nipped up, and I hear him say, you know, hit me with that people's elbow. And I hit him with the people's elbow, and it was supposed to be the finish. And I heard him say, this is it, go home. And I knew what that meant. That meant you're winning. Referee, you count to 3. 1, 2, 3. The crowd was so emotionally spent. I was so emotionally spent. Hogan was so emotionally spent. And we went on, that match would go on to be one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. And I was so grateful that I had a ring general and a hero in the ring that gave me the space to be a heel and automatically just knew psychologically how to then turn the crowd and work as a great baby face. And, you know, those are things that, you know, if you're lucky enough to have that skill set and to kind of sharpen it, and I had the best in there, you could go on and have that kind of match. So when we got to the back, I gave him the hardest, biggest hug I could. I thanked him for passing the torch to me, and he said, you deserve it, brother. Carry it well, or he said something like that. And he's like I did when Andre passed me the torch. And everybody came up in the back and gave us all hugs and said that was incredible. So it was an incredible night. It was an incredible match, and it was a real lesson in psychology, ring psychology for me, and a real lesson also in the importance of, and this is where this lesson transcended for me the world of wrestling, because I take this with me everywhere I go in business, regardless of what it is, in film, in tequila, in whatever it is that I do, is that the value in relationships of listening to your gut and listening to your instinct. And in that moment, I had to listen to my gut. And I thought, I'm gonna work as a heel now and give the people, 68,000 people, give them the opportunity to not be conflicted. Cheer him, you could boo me, because the only thing that matters is we have a great match. And the next morning I woke up and I turned on the news, as I always do, on CNN, just to get an idea of what's going on around the world. That's how I start my mornings. And I remember on the ticker tape of CNN, it said something to the effect of, The Rock dethrones the King, Hulk Hogan, in epic and entertaining match at WrestleMania 18. It was something to that effect. And I was like, holy shit, that is the ticker tape. That's pretty cool. It was really cool, because I had not, been in a match that actually transcended, the world of wrestling. So, that's the backstory to that match. This is 12 minutes of your life you're never gonna get back. Trust your gut, trust your instinct. Hogan, I'm sure you will watch this at some point. I thank you, my friend, for being the greatest, and you are, without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest pro wrestler of all time. And I have two. One is Nature Boy Ric Flair, the other one is Hulk Hogan. And those guys sit on my Mount Rushmore. I'm on the back of Mount Rushmore. I'm not even on the front. To me, in my opinion, I'm on the back, raising my eyebrow. But Hogan, you're the GOAT, and I thank you. And everybody around the world, thank you for your time. Keep your questions coming, and stay healthy, and take care of one another, and chat soon.